Hey, what is up, guys? Is your boy Marcos. First and foremost, let me give thanks to all of my fellow subscribers. I remember 32 days ago when I started my YouTube channel that I was asking for 20 subscribers by the end of the month. You guys knocked it out of the park with whopping 231 subscribers. I really couldn't be more grateful for my audience. I really appreciate the support you guys have for my channel. It means the world to me. With that being said, today is a very sad day for me and my love for God of War as a whole. As the more I've replayed it, I couldn't find myself enjoying the game. I platinumed it twice now and I will never play it again. Let's start with the story, which I have a video saying that I did enjoy it, and yes, initially I was hyped up for this game so much it blinded me of the story's obvious red flags. You can say God of War always had a weak spot in my heart, as I've been with God of War through its best and worst installments, so I am a veteran of the series and I know when a game is heading in the wrong direction. Anyways, let's start with my biggest disappointment. This Norse saga had huge potential as we had awesome gods in the rich lore of the Aesir, but to my surprise, this game was rushed and not done with attention to detail. For example, one thing that had not crossed my mind until now was how Kratos refused to deal with Odin. I know Odin is a liar, but hear me out for a second. What was the consequences to this action? He left Atreus, his only son, by himself with the most dangerous enemy, Odin. Thor also killed Kratos. The only reason Thor revived him was because Odin told him not to kill him. Which again, horrible story writing, because if Odin wanted Ragnarok to never happen, he would have let Thor kill Kratos, as he is the main reason it started anyways. They could have really done an amazing job with this part of the story. For example, let's say the same thing happened, but Odin kidnapped Atreus. It would have given Kratos purpose for invading Asgard and lash out his fury against all Aesir standing in his way. This would have made the game super interesting and bring us back to the older days of Kratos raging and doing anything to get his son back. Instead, the whole reason we go to war in Asgard is because Odin killed Brock. Seriously, I'm not saying he's not an important character to the game. I don't dislike Brock. But do we really care for Brock more than, say, for Freya or Atreus or main protagonist in our story? It felt like Santa Monica said, okay, what NPC can we sacrifice for the sake of the story? Oh, Brock, the blue dwarf. No one will be mad at us for killing him off. It was just so disappointing, and I can't believe that a team like Santa Monica with over 2,500 employees all decided this was a good idea. Next, we got Tyr. Probably the best part of the story was finding out that Odin was disguised as Tyr all along. But also, if the All-Father could be anyone at any given time, how come he didn't pretend to be Freya and kill Kratos off? Also, if he got to see the right prophecy disguised as Tyr, being the smart god he is known to be, how come his reign came to an end so quickly? This is what I mean. This game should have been a trilogy like old God of War games. It took Kratos multiple games to conclude the Greek saga. How come they wanted to end this one so fast with God of War 2018 being such a big success? It really doesn't add up. Anyways, the real Tyr should have also had more playtime as the God of War of the Norse pantheon. We didn't see his might. And actually, he came off more like a hippie doing yoga poses than an actual God of War. He played no role in Ragnarok. He was also a pointless character in this saga. This was ultra disappointing. They had so much potential but wasted it on other things I will get to in just a second. For now, let's talk about Atreus. Actually, Atreus had the most interesting arc in the game as he traveled to Asgard and learned about Odin's purposes and saw their culture firsthand. But for what purpose? He destroyed the mask that had super important information. He let Garm out, beat him, and passed his dead wolf Fenrir's soul in it for no purpose to the story at all. Fenrir didn't even go to the battle of Ragnarok. Also, you're going to tell me Odin welcomed Atreus to his home in open arms twice, even after finding out about Heimdall's death, with no consequences whatsoever. It just made the old man look so weak and pathetic. I mean, you can kill the man's entire family and he will still treat you like family, invite you to his home, and let you run around and do whatever you want. Also, we had the most boring parts of the game with Atreus. I already made a video about Angrboda and her purposes in the game as a race swap character, so I won't be talking about that in this one. But the Jack mission that takes 2 hours to beat every time you replay the game is so annoying and ruins the immersion of the story, as Angrboda serves no purpose to the story. Sure, some of you will say how she handed Atreus some marbles, but let me remind you again, Atreus handed the marbles back to her, so in a sense, this was pointless. Sure, he passed the giant soul to a serpent and made it the world serpent we know in the game, but even the world serpent was pointless. It was in Ragnarok battle for maybe 3 minutes. After Thor sends it back in time, we no longer get to see it. Atreus and Ironwood made me get flashbacks of the old God of War games and their amazing moments, like Pandora's Temple, the level of Hades. Man, such nostalgia. And now what do we get? A boy riding around in a jack, collecting fruits for 2 hours. What a sad moment to realize we will never again get those cool design bosses and levels in future God of War games, because they care more about pandering to certain type of people instead of pandering to their old-time fans. With that being said, let's jump right into Ragnarok, the huge and brutal battle of the Aesir gods, a war that will be remembered for all ages and felt throughout the 9 realms and shattered the world in half. Well, I am afraid to tell you, but you won't get that in this God of War game, as we prepare for war with maybe 20 people at most, and they are all NPCs. They don't serve any purpose in the fight. They try to make us care about Freyr, as he suicided to save everyone from Surtur, yet he could have easily escaped with them, but just like in the Titanic, he had to sacrifice himself to make it emotional, even though they had more than enough time to survive. But man, the battle itself was so boring and so bad compared to the end of Olympus. You fight a bunch of NPCs to get to Thor, beat his ass, Odin betrays him, and then we break a marble and defeat Odin. That is it. There was no consequences for killing Thor. It didn't even start a thunderstorm. No higher form of Odin, like when you kill Zeus, his ghost form appears, making him look like an eternal being. Nothing like that ever happens in this game. Man, I missed old God of War games. 2018 was a good game. I liked it. But this game here and story was such a big disappointment. Then we get Atreus leaving Kratos' side and the end. Tell me if this sounds fun to you or immersive. In conclusion, God of War Ragnarok was partly directed by Eric Williams, who is not such a fan of the series like Cory Barlog. So I guess he didn't care ruining this game for all of us with his woke ideologies and boring ideas. It breaks my heart to know where the future of God of War will take us, as it could only get worse from now on. They won't go back to the basics. It's too late for that. Anyways, I hope you guys could understand my points. Let me know what you think of this matter, if you agree or not, and till the next one.